Welcome, everybody, to my actual reviews for the series. Now, a lot of you probably have seen my other videos. Not a lot of you, honestly, nobody watches them, which is fair. They're just voice recordings and not really much of anything else. I had done those reviews about 2 years ago, and they're not really my thoughts anymore of what I think of the episodes, and they're not very thorough. So I thought I'd do a more thorough analysis of Friendship is Magic, mostly because that's what you guys want, you guys and girls. I would gladly have done G5, but nobody wanted G5 apparently, which is fair because G5 isn't great. But I do love Misty. I do love Izzy. I think Pip and Zip are great. Sunny is great when she has her moments as well. Hitch sucks. Sorry, Hitch fans. He's garbage. But yeah, we're going to start this series with Friendship is Magic, Part 1. So the first episode of Friendship is Magic is Friendship is Magic, Part 1. And it's the pilot, I believe. And you could tell because there are a lot of things in this that I don't think made it into the actual canon type of the show. I'll point some of those things out. But we do start off with the Tale of the Two Sisters, which is an amazing hook. I think that the Tale of the Two Sisters is by far the best thing about MLP. My favorite characters being like Celestia and Luna, and obviously Starlight. But I think that this story is very mature and hits really hard and is very sad. And if you watch this, links in the description, it shows even better the breakdown of what happened between Celestia and Luna, even better than the canon ever could have. That is why I don't hold the canon to be sacred. I think that a lot of the fan stuff is even better than the canon. But this hook that started all of Friendship is Magic is really good, and I like it a lot. There's a really interesting part right here where Celestia, or I guess Twilight reading in Celestia's voice, whatever you want to say, it says that the elder sister used her unicorn powers, which is, I think, the fact that they hadn't been decided to be called alicorns at this point, so they were like unicorn, which is kind of par for the course. You'll see another few things where, since this is the pilot, they hadn't decided on certain terms and certain things being a certain way, and they changed them later. I think a lot of people, a lot of fans would point out, well, it's because an alicorn is the combination of a unicorn, an earth pony, and a pegasus. I don't think that was ever the original intention. I honestly don't. I think alicorn was just a whole nother race. As far as I'm concerned, earth ponies don't have any magic per se. They can't use magic. That is what makes them special. The fact that they push themselves and are still a relevant race in spite of having no magic, that's cool. They're special because they're not special in that sort of sense. And I thought it was really interesting here that it said that Celestia used unicorn magic. Here's another one of those interesting things I think they kind of maybe got wrong to begin with. Maybe they didn't. Again, Celestia says that the elder sister banished her permanently in the moon. Speaking of the younger sister. If this was permanent, why was there an escape? Like, it's weird that it says permanently, or they could have left out permanently. She could have just said it banished her to the moon. But they put permanently here, which is weird. I guess maybe to have more of an impact of the devastation that it would have caused because she banished her sister forever. But I don't, like, obviously with the gift of hindsight and whatnot, we see that Celestia didn't even want to banish Luna, and we see that it wasn't permanent ever. So that's a really weird line in the dialogue too. After a few seconds of being shown Twilight, we get her friends from Canterlot. Twinkleshine, Lemon Hearts, and Minuet. And again, I want to talk about uh, retconning, and how at the beginning, like, even here in this picture, you see it kind of looks like they're like unhappy and like, oh, Twilight just wants to go and be with her books and she doesn't care about friends, which is fine here, but it kind of is weird when you get the retconning of like Twilight being actual friends with these ponies in season 6 or 7, Amending Fences. And I think it's really funny because we get a lot of retcons later, a lot of retcons, and this one kind of stands out because it's like, why is Twilight so standoffish with her friends if they were actually friends? They were friends before. It's not like they weren't friends. Twilight returns to her home. I guess this is where she's staying in Canterlot while she's learning under the princess. And this particular scene is interesting to me because we get Twilight's aura on her horn. And I tried to look at this from multiple different views, and it looks like her aura is clear, like white. It might be lavender, like extremely, extremely light lavender, but I think it is just clear and white. And I thought that was really weird because I thought that what they were going to have to do, like have done, was before, since it, again, the pilot basically, I thought they were going to have all of the unicorn horns auras white, but I was proven wrong, like really quickly. Twilight sends a letter to Princess Celestia, and she's confident that the princess is going to respond back to her immediately and be concerned. And the really funny thing about this part of the episode is writing particular lines matters a lot. And when they're changed later, or not the lines, but stuff happens later, it is affected by what you wrote earlier. So in this scene, Twilight says this. She says, "The princess trusts me completely. In all the years she's been my mentor, she's never once doubted me." So if Twilight is telling the truth, then two things are true. She's got complete trust of Princess Celestia, and Celestia has never doubted her. What's even funny is Celestia sends a letter back to Twilight, and Celestia's letter says, "I trust you completely, Twilight." She confirms this. Celestia confirms that she trusts Twilight completely. This is fine for now, but what really hurts it is later when Chrysalis and the wedding happen. Celestia immediately doesn't believe Twilight and turns on her. And that is, if you believe every season is a year, that is about 2 years after this. That is 2 years after Twilight has saved Equestria from Nightmare Moon. It is after Twilight and her friends have saved Equestria from Discord. And all of a sudden, in that scene, Celestia doesn't trust Twilight completely. That's not good writing. That is bad. When you contradict your own stuff like that, and then later it's changed, like, well, you could say, well, Celestia didn't trust her anymore. Why? She had proven to be trustworthy, obviously, and now it's like, oh, she doesn't trust her. That's the kind of thing that irritates me. So we get Pinky's intro, kind of. She kind of just meets Twilight, gasps, and runs away. This is a funny moment. I can't say anything bad about it. It made me laugh the first time I saw it, and I think it's still funny. Then we get Applejack. Applejack is fun. Her family is all there, and then they immediately leave. And I'm pretty sure that's explained in, like, Ticketmaster. But this scene is fun, too. Just shows how... It doesn't show any honesty from Applejack, but it shows how nice she is and her entire family, which is a consistent thing throughout the entire series. We get cocky Rainbow Dash, but she proves that she's good at what she does, and she's cute. And this isn't super annoying Rainbow Dash cocky yet. This I feel is the perfect blend of cool, brash, arrogant Rainbow Dash and friendly, I'm gonna help you out, I'm gonna do my best to be a good friend Rainbow Dash. I really like this Rainbow Dash. We also get 10 seconds flat, which is one of the sayings that stayed for a very, very long time. Rarity is next, and we get her being beautiful, and obviously Spike is the engine to show that. But I mean, like, all you have to do is look at Rarity to see how pretty she is. We get her generosity immediately. She's instantly shown to just to give Twilight a makeover instantly. We also get the first Wahaha, which is great because that's one of Rarity's like running things, I think, for the first few seasons. I think they might have just taken it out after that, and that sucks because it's really, really funny and it's really good for her character. Like, what are they? Not mottos, but like voice lines. I don't know what you want to call them. Those are good for characters because people repeat them and then it makes the character more well known. But yeah, Rarity here is amazing. Another interesting thing here, I think we got this because, again, it was still the pilot, I believe, and designs weren't finalized. But right here, if you look, we get the horns being, like, separated completely from the head, as if it were, like, kind of like if it were a separate limb or appendage. And this changes very quickly. They start doing the thing where they don't completely cut it off. It's just kind of melded together, and this bothered me. I have a my brother drew me an ornament, a Christmas ornament, and he drew me Rarity, and she had the horn like this, and it always bothered me for some reason. I really liked that they changed it to the other version as opposed to this. I forgot to mention this. If you look here, Rarity's horn aura is light blue. So I was quickly proven wrong that they're not clear. I don't know if Twilight's is lavender and it's extremely light, but Rarity's is like the color of her, like, cutie mark almost. This is a really interesting part. Twilight and Spike have just left Rarity and they're going to speak with Fluttershy. But what's really interesting about this part is that Twilight calls Spike Casanova because he's still talking about how beautiful Rarity is. And what's really funny is a lot of kids probably wouldn't know what a Casanova is. And Merriam-Webster defines Casanova as a man known for seducing women and having many lovers. That's funny because it's a kid's show apparently, but they're throwing in words like Casanova. And okay, sure. We get this scene and it's literally perfect. Fluttershy is hilarious here. Twilight's expressions are incredible here. The animation is funny. The voice acting is super good. Everything about this scene is perfect. It's the thing that not forced me, but convinced me to continue with MLP. I gave it a shot. I gave the show a shot. I'm obviously older, and I was like, I'm not going to watch that show. And then I saw the gif of Pinkie Pie playing all of the instruments, and I was like, that looks really cool. Like, visually, I like the colors and stuff, so I'll give it a shot. I watched this first episode, and I was like, this is pretty decent. And then this scene with Fluttershy just convinced me, oh, this is really, really, really funny. And this show is really, really funny. I think it's, like, super, super good. I think it's very comedic, and the jokes that do hit very, very hard. And I think this one showed me that what they were capable of with laughs, and this one really did it well. And once again, we have retcons. We have Lyra here, who later is said to be one of Twilight's friends from Canterlot. We also have Minuet here, who is one of Twilight's really good friends from Canterlot before, but they don't even get a mention. They don't even get a notice from Twilight, which is fine when Amending Fences doesn't exist, but then you make Amending Fences and then this happens, and that hurts episodes like these because it doesn't hurt them in the grand scheme of things looking from now to then. Like if you go in chronological order and start with this episode and you have no knowledge and you just watch the entire series. But when you repeat the series over and over, you're obviously going to notice things like that, and you're going to be like, that's weird, which hurts your experience, I guess. It doesn't necessarily hurt it. You can obviously just be like, that doesn't matter, who cares? But it in the universe that they're creating, the retcons do hurt the previous episodes that they are retconning. So we get Pinkie Pie's introduction finally actually at the party, and upon first viewing, this scene is great. You're focused on Pinkie, you're focused on Twilight, you see them, what's going on. What really hurts is the repeated viewings. If you've watched this episode a lot like I have, and I'm sure many of you have, you start noticing the background ponies. You start noticing how many times Derpy is copied and how many times Lyra is copied, and how they're not doing anything. They're just back there to fill up spots so that it looks like a bustling party. And I think that's really funny. It makes me laugh. I think it actually is like beneficial to the show because it takes you out of it. Like, it takes you out of the immersion. You're like, oh, they're clearly just copies of ponies, like, over and over again. But it's funny. And I think the purpose of the scene is to be funny because Pinkie is supposed to be funny anyways. So whether you're laughing at Pinkie Pie or whether you're laughing at the overabundance of background pony repeats, it's a funny scene. Twilight is a fun sponge. She doesn't want to party with everyone. She drinks a cup of hot sauce and then she goes into her room and starts moping. And then she starts worrying even more about the Mare and the Moon and her return. And this is a really cool visual because part of the prophecy or the kid's story or whatever you want to call it is the stars will aid in her escape. And as Twilight is looking at the moon, the 4 stars around the moon start to converge on it, which is even more threatening because it's like, oh, those stars are going to aid in her escape. And that's a really cool visual, and it's really cool attention to detail. I've always found this part to be interesting. Twilight and everyone goes to watch Celestia raise the sun for the 1,000-year blah 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 whatever. But what I found to be really interesting here is Rarity opens the curtains. Celestia's gone, and Rarity goes to the back and she says she's gone. One of the things that like seems to be something that was never shown in canon nor alluded to is what happened to Celestia during this time. Some people think that Moon came back. She like overpowered Celestia and took her. Some people think that like Celestia was just not there. It's hard to like. There's no way to confirm or deny like anything as far as canon goes because canon-wise, it's never shown. But if we're going by just what Rarity says, I would assume that because she says she's gone, it would mean that at some point Celestia was there because she'd be like, she's not here. Gone would mean was here, gone. In my mind, of course. And I think that's really funny because then it like kind of lends credence to the fact that she was there and then she was just like, all right, I'm out. And I think that's really funny. But I've never really gotten confirmation. I don't think, well, no one has gotten confirmation on what really happened to Celestia between now and when she appears in part 2. Nightmare Moon appears. We get her design, which I don't like Nightmare Moon's design anywhere close to as much as I like as much as I like Luna's. I don't like the extremely dark coat. I don't like the mane and the tail. That's my main issue. Mane and tail are like the most important part of the designs in My Little Pony to me. If you have an amazing looking mane and an amazing looking tail, or just a mane basically because tail's kind of just in the back, then you look amazing. It's kind of why Starlight did not click for me immediately. Starlight's original mane was trash and then like they gave her the better mane, and I was like, oh, she looks a lot better like this. And that's kind of what hurts me for Moon. I don't like her mane and her tail because it's such a cloud of stars that it doesn't look like a mane. It looks like, to me, Moon has always looked bald. It looks like she doesn't have a tail nor a mane, and I can't unvisualize that. So I've always disliked Moon's design. For example, like Nightmare Rarity in the comics, she looks amazing. Her mane looks incredible. Moon's, I don't like it. One more interesting little factoid, we get the CMC all together here. We did get Apple Bloom earlier in the episode, but we get the CMC all together here. And it's very strange because later when they meet in the series, it's like they've never met before. And like, again, I think it has to do with just it being like the pilot and them showing like different characters and stuff. And yeah, it just kind of hurts continuity a little bit because it's like, well, but they knew each other. They had to, unless they just cowered together because they were all children. Which, fine if that's what happened. But yeah, that was a weird little thing that happened. And that's Friendship is Magic Part 1. I think that this episode is perfect. I'm going to rate these episodes as I go along. I'll give the entire season an episode, a rating, not an episode. And I will continue to do that for all of the seasons. The reason that I think this one is perfect, 5 out of 5, it's exactly what you need in an episode to start with, a series with. The Tale of the Two Sisters is intriguing. You want to see more of that. Obviously, something's going to happen with that, or they wouldn't have told you. You see Twilight, and you see her going to meet new ponies. And you want to meet these new ponies, too, because you've never met these ponies. And you're like, let's see their attitudes. Let's see how they act. Let's see these things about them. So we get little bites of all of them. All 5 of them. We're following Twilight. And then we get the villain, Nightmare Moon. And we don't even see Celestia. We see Celestia in the opening, but we don't see Celestia in the show. So there's all these things that you want answered. You want, if you liked any of the characters, for example, I already wanted to see more of Fluttershy. I was like, please show me more Fluttershy. She seems hilarious. I wanted to see more of Rarity. I wanted to see more of these characters. Then we got the villain, and I was like, okay, show me more of this villain. She wants to make it Eternal Night. How are they going to beat her? This is My Little Pony. I'm typically watching anime and adult shows where they solve things with violence and killing. That's what they do. Let's fight. Let's have a gunfight. Let's box, whatever. This is MLP. I don't think they're going to do that. So I'm interested in seeing that as well. Then I want to see Celestia. What does she do? Why is she so revered? Why is she the princess? It gives you all of these questions that you want answered as far as things going forward. So yeah, easy 5 for me for this one. I think it's an amazing opening episode for a series. It did exactly what it needed to do. It made me want to watch more, and so I watched more.